Flashpoint, they need to make these necessary adjustments heading into Game 2 for picks and bans of how they want to play for themselves. Because like we mentioned before, they played Allegiance's game by keeping Mirage sitting in that soul lane instead of having him roam around, maybe take advantage of the fact that Metyankey was left alone as an ISIS by herself.
Bologna immediately banned by Flashpoint, and they're saying, enough. We don't want any more of that, Cyclone, please. And ALG, going back to that Nox ban, really don't want Sheyka to play that mid laner. Flashpoint, they're going to knock out the other aggressive solo laner in Osiris as Allegiance goes to Fafnir once more. Terra left open here for Flashpoint. Cernunnos as well. Don't really want to see Oceans on that again, most likely.
Khepri.
But it's going to be Khepri for Shadowq.
Khepri really early in this draft, surprisingly enough. You know, Terra was left open, like you said. There's also Susano available for a weekend, the way he was playing it before. That could have been an option for Flashpoint to get in there. And that's just why Team Allegiance ban away the Nox. They don't want to have any sort of disruption to prevent Weekend from getting off what he needs to do.
And again, it's going to be ISIS for Metyankey in that mid lane. Worked out in Game 1. May as well do it again in Game 2. DanteLeFargo's Vamana did not work out in Game 1, but they're still okay with doing it in Game 2. Now this time it isn't going to be up against the Bologna. That's probably a big reason why he feels comfortable enough to go back to it. And then it is going to be the Cernunnos there for sops, taking it out of the hands of Oceans.
Oceans plays Cernunnos in a very interesting fashion, going for this crippled star, you know, going for the poison star rather, going for Fatalis very early on as well. It's been working out for him and his teammates, so taking that option away from Allegiance is really well placed. Sops on the Rama, he's hit some decent snipes here, but the rest of his teammates didn't really do the damage necessary.
Surprised that Allegiance, I know Weekend just looked great on the Susano, but Serket was open, and the man's logo is Serket, and he plays it very, very well. Instead, they're going to take the Susano and ban away the Serket, as well as the Thor from Mirage. A couple warrior bans there by Flashpoint. And Allegiance is going to go back to one of their tried-and-true hunter picks. Medusa has been Ocean's god since he first came into the SPL.
The passive movement speed between moving sideways or backwards for Medusa makes it very difficult to box against her. However, Huyi being locked in the passive is very nice considering the way Oceans likes to build his hunters. It's going to prevent Huyi from getting crit once every 3 seconds.
Chang'e in that mid lane for Sheyka here as Ravana mixed all the way to the last pick, but likely not going to be in the jungle. But if the team is going to put Susano solo, Ravana jungle, it would be Allegiance, right? Because CycloneSpin loves the assassins, and Weekend can really play it all in that jungle.
I can see that happening, but we'll see as we get into the second game here. Allegiance taking on Flashpoint. Flashpoint looking for the split. Allegiance looking to get away from their first split in Thursday and try to get 4 points.
Yeah, this would be a big 2-0 victory here for Allegiance, and you heard them on the desk. They need to find this one. They want to make their way to DreamHack, and we're right and ready to go. Game number 2. Allegiance with a pretty similar composition, but they're not going to, you know, do anything any crazy. It is going to be CycloneSpin on the Warrior and Weekend on the Assassin.
And that's for good measure, too. DanteLeFargo playing such a passive god yet again in the soul lane. It's just screaming aggression coming out of Team Allegiance, despite banning away both the Osiris and the Bologna. Even the Erlong Shen in the secondary ban phase, CycloneSpin loves to last pick gods to counter pick, and that's going to be the Ravana here, which is going to have a pretty easy time.
Misspoke during the P's and B's there. There were 2 hunters, so Sheyka is going to take the Cernunnos in the mid lane. It's going to be Mirage on the Chang'e jungle. CycloneSpin coming around the back. Uh-oh, Mirage in a lot of trouble. He's going to fall here. Easy first blood for Allegiance. And again, it's that CycloneSpin Weekend combination that sets it off for ALG.
Surprise, surprise. Allegiance with another interesting strategy. And CycloneSpin rotating back to his own tower. Not going to lose any experience. He will sacrifice some gold under his tower, even losing his own blue buff. But setting up that first blood onto Weekend, that's going to allow his team to get a huge net worth despite what he's losing individually.
And Metyankey and Weekend managed to steal away the red buff from Flashpoint. So not only on the right side, but on the mid and left as well.
Still looking for more things in the soul lane. CycloneSpin still left alone, which means he's going to get a higher level than DanteLeFargo, unless there's going to be some more invades. Metyankey and Weekend making their presence felt around the speed buff coming out of Flashpoint, trying to contest these Fire Giant Elementals.
It's good stun on DanteLeFargo there, trying to secure this Fire Elemental, but almost falls for it, able to get out of danger. but it is going to be Allegiance who are able to secure the Fire Elementals.
Just barely able to hit level 3 to get himself that Vamana dash. A very fortunate set of circumstances for DanteLeFargo, which also benefits CycloneSpin in the long run here. Still trying to contest. Little Thunder onto Weekend, absorbing some of the blue buff, but the rotation from Sheyka is going to be Oh, nice jet stream.
Just in time, and it's Shadowq who's going to fall. Met probably going to fall as well here. The Aegis going to buy him a moment, but Mirage is going to be able to clean that one up. Cyclone trying to fight this. Weekend still only level 2. He's going to find Sheyka as Cyclone gets knocked up and pulled away. Weekend trying to get CycloneSpin out of danger. Mirage has lost his focus. Weekend finds DanteLeFargo as well. How did Allegiance turn this around?
CycloneSpin, he's not done yet. He's trusting Weekend to be able to bait a little bit longer. Nice little kiting. This is how they always play, but the Crescent Moon is going to be good. Mirage finding the cleanup kill onto CycloneSpin, but DanteLeFargo makes a teleport here. Nice overhead kick preventing the slow coming out of Dante.
Yeah, Cyclone's going to be out of danger now. Allegiance should have just taken, you know, they won the second biggest sum and wanted the jackpot. They wanted to kill everyone there from Flashpoint, but they could have just gotten out after somehow turning that around with Weekend being very, very low, Cyclone being in the middle of 3. Looked like Cyclone was going to fall, but great team play out of Allegiance. Weekend ends up paying for it in the end, but also starts off the game with 3 kills, so you know he's not too upset.
Couldn't really ask for a better start coming out of Weekend unless he actually survived that encounter. He actually trusted CycloneSpin to try to find the kill onto Mirage. A little bit greedy there, could have easily just ran away. He had the mobility necessary. Now granted, Mirage did have the speed buff, but because Weekend was running backwards, ooh, another kill for Weekend.
Sheyka can't find the Wild Hunt onto Weekend. Good use of that dash from Stormkata to get out of that ultimate from Sheyka. Mirage put down once more. He's got 2 kills, but also 2 early deaths. And while kills are nice in the early game, what you really want to be doing is getting the farm from the lanes, from the jungle, trying to make sure that you can stay relevant in terms of golden experience. Look at the net worth charts right now. Weekend, he's up on top. Mirage about 600 gold behind.
That's going to be huge for Weekend to finish off his boots first before he comes back into the jungle here. The speed buff finally going to get taken for Allegiance, and there's going to be a staggered respawn coming out of Flashpoint. So if Allegiance really wanted to, they could start invading the speed.
ALG invades the red instead, and Metyankey's going to be able to pick that up. Even with a potential 3v4 on that side of the map, Sops just hitting level 5, Mirage and Shadowq still only level 4. They don't even have their ultimates quite yet. Instead of going for the speed buff invade, expecting Flashpoint to overcommit to the defense, it's Allegiance going for the Gold Fury. And again, if Allegiance has ISIS, you just have to keep eyes on this objective.
Such an easy objective to secure 4 minutes into the game. I think last game it was a 5-minute Gold
yep.
Fury, now 1 minute quicker. It's like playing a speedrunner game. It's like I just beat my next record.
Do you remember when Gold Fury used to spawn like really early and teams could try and 5-man rush it before the minions spawned?
There was like this interesting strategy where people would pick Arachne,
yep.
lay a bunch of eggs around the Gold Fury, finding a very easy bunch of gold for their teammates, hogs, girdle strategies
yep.
to be. I love those days.
That you would love those days, Tolly. You'd be the one doing the math, trying to figure out exactly how many Arachne eggs you needed.
I never did it, but I just like looking at it. I'm like, that was neat.
Sure you didn't.
That was neat.
CycloneSpin's got the level lead over DanteLeFargo right now on this right side. More than a level lead, in fact. See, it's level 8. Dante just dinging level 7. And Ravana, like I mentioned earlier, has really been more of a jungler than a solo laner. Why do you think that teams are now starting to transition him into solo and less so in jungle?
It just depends on the matchup, because Vamana is a very passive god in the solo lane, so you can run almost any aggressive god, and that's what fits the style out of both CycloneSpin and Ravana. You're able to have a very short cooldown on your first ability. It's about 9 seconds or so, and that does a lot of base damage, so you don't necessarily need a lot of physical power to take advantage of that.
Spirit Ball a little bit off the mark there from Metyankey. Try to throw it blind over the wall, though the Legions do have a ward. They're warding this time for Flashpoint's a little bit better, but they've got to get away from Weekend in that mid lane. Terra's Blessing used by NeiruMah and Mirage, stunned out alongside Shadowq. Sheyka is the focus, but he's going to be able to get away after use of his purification beads. Allegiance was looking for Mirage there, I think, Toli, but that second ability just gets him out of danger so well.
Preventing the pull was the key factor because now the Typhoon was used prematurely for Weekend. He couldn't find the knockoff. He had to use it a little bit early just to guarantee the damage. Otherwise, Mirage was just going to walk away from the range of it entirely, but still able to escape under the safety of their own Tier 1 tower. Still doing a good job farming, though, is Allegiance.
Weekend coming around the backside, but Mirage gets reset there after a good ultimate from Shadowq. That ward on the bottom right-hand side certainly helping Flashpoint with that information. Metyankey's auto attack was still in the air whenever that Scarab's Blessing was thrown out by Shadowq, so well-timed out of the veteran support.
And DanteLeFargo forced to rotate towards the mid lane just for the brief second, which allows CycloneSpin to get that wave in and now make this rotation with the teleport under the Tier 1 tower of the dual lane. Weekend looking to go in.
First one in is Weekend. Up into the sky goes Sops, and down he goes as CycloneSpin makes that teleport worth it on that left-hand side, getting his first kill of the game. Now the red buff invade from Metyankey and company. Sheyka stunned out, or rooted out rather. Doesn't have that purification beads, but is able to get out in time before the stun from NeiruMah came through. But DanteLeFargo is getting quite a bit of solo farm on that side, but CycloneSpin is going in the middle lane. Beautiful Spirit Ball out of Metyankey. Confirms it under the Tier 1 tower. 7 in total for Allegiance. Good play out of the solo and mid.
Calculated rotation out of CycloneSpin, getting 2 kills, or sorry, being a part of 2 kills rather, for his rotation. Doesn't miss out on too much farm. He does sacrifice a wave under the Tier 1 tower and about 50% of his health, but he's gotten back there in time to prevent Flashpoint from getting that 500 gold, still having a very comfortable experience lead over Dante as well.
And keeping Metyankey ahead of Sheyka. I think that even though he loses a little bit of his lead, it's just more of a, he didn't lose it, he just gave it to someone else. He gave that lead that he had, at least a portion of it, to Metyankey in the mid lane, courtesy of that. And Ocean's on the left side as well. Now Dante trying to run away. Moonlit Waltz comes through from Mirage to stun out Weekend, who did use his purification beads there. So 2 ults for 1 ult from Allegiance and a set of purification beads.
Still, DanteLeFargo taking a lot of damage, and CycloneSpin going for this Gladiator shield, trying to get even more health after every single ability being used. As if he wasn't a problem before, he's gonna get pulled back in. CycloneSpin needs 1 more hit, gonna get slowed down, forced into the Mystic Rush, but definitely worth.
Exactly. NeiruMah probably didn't need to use his ultimate on top of that. Could have been one or the other in that scenario, but doesn't really matter. All that matters is that Dante has fallen for a second time, and clearly just needs to understand that Weekend's gonna pull him out of that clear the path every single time. And he's really been relying on that escape, thinking it's gonna get him to safety. But you're up against a bunch of veterans that have been around a little bit too long for that to work against them.
But I like the fact that the Mystic Rush was used after the Terra's Blessing, so that's gonna be a little bit more cooldown lowered here for CycloneSpin. He already has the 10% from the Gladiator shield, and now it's Oceans poking out Sops in that dual lane, gonna commit into the dash, finding the second ability as well. Gonna go into the purification beads just to prevent the stun and the slow.
With Sheyka and Shadowq on the rotation, I think that's why we see Oceans being so willing to use that relic, dashing aggressively under that tower. Sheyka again has to use his purification beads as NeiruMah pops forward and hits him with the Sunder. That Spirit Ball actually might have killed there if Metyankey could hit it, but it would have been pretty nuts. As CycloneSpin again has Mystic Rush available and makes the best use out of it. Another kill on the DanteLeFargo, 3-0-4. CycloneSpin been a part of 7 of Allegiance's 9 kills. And that's just, that lead is just getting bigger and bigger on the right.
DanteLeFargo's ultimate just now coming off of cooldown. Doesn't have that 20% cooldown reduction that he needs from the Breastplate of Valor. Really needs that done quickly. But CycloneSpin Awakens just not making his life any easier. Just constantly grouped up pair by pair, and like we talked about before, that Terra's Blessing reducing CycloneSpin's ultimate cooldown by so much there. Also having that Gladiator shield, he's extended to his lead by about 3 levels now, working on the Shifter shield.
And look at Dante, he's like, all right, I'm on the left side now, guys. I'm going, hey Sops, you want to head over to the solo lane?
That's your turn.
I promise it's not a big deal. 2-man knockup there in the mid lane as Sheyka tries to get away, but Weekend's not going to let him. Could be a double here, but Shadowq gets the ultimate off in time. Good rotation from Sops is going to punish Weekend. That's his second death of the game as Dante already falling very low. Petrify, can't quite confirm it for Oceans. Dante's going to escape until
Look at
CycloneSpin.
CycloneSpin wants to find the kill onto DanteLeFargo. He's like, not like this. He's going to dash away, but it's a Mr. Crush under the tier 1 tower. CycloneSpin's going to eat the Hui ultimate, finding Garuda as well. He overextended too far.
Okay, Cyclone.
Hey, they got a tier 1 mid tower.
Sure, but did Cyclone need to die for it?
No.
No. That was probably not the correct, the optimal play in that instance there. Either way, Allegiance does get the tier 1 tower, another 500 gold across the team. Cyclone goes back to base via the death and gets to finish off his shifter shield, but Flashpoint just not aware of this Gold Fury happening on the left side. Yes, they get the Portal Demon, but as you mentioned, what is the gold is just not worth giving up another Gold Fury.
Slowly climbing their lead even further. 6,000 experience, almost 5,000 gold. Additionally, the Allegiance looking very strong in this game number 2. Whatever they had in game number 1, it's still working out heading into this last game of the set. And this is going to be very difficult for Flashpoint of how they stay relevant, because Weekend just cannot be stopped unless he overextends and then you catch him slipping around the jungle side. So as long as Allegiance stays grouped like they have been in a 5v5 scenario, Flashpoint need to figure out ways to pull everybody apart.
5, 2, and 5 for Allegiance's jungler. He's been a part of all 10 kills for Allegiance. Another good performance from Weekend, who looked good against Luminosity, and especially in the game Allegiance won. Now again here, this set has looked very, very strong. Certainly something that Allegiance and the Weak Nation certainly rooting for, the Allegiance jungler. Now coming around the back, Cyclone handles the 2 members pretty easily here. Gets knocked up and controlled. Fortunately, Purification beats quickly and Weakens the one on the run. Terra's Blessing used by NeiruMah is going to give him enough movement speed to get out of danger, and Mirage got baited in too far. Cyclone going to make him pay his 4th kill of the game. Dante on the run now, but no route available for Cyclone means that Dante is going to escape to safety under that tier 1 tower. But that's what Terra can do for a team. Get a jungler on the other side of the map out of danger. Someone needs to get Sheyka out of danger over here, trying to get away from Metyankey. Uses the Wild Hunt. Met finally going to give up the chase, but is in a little bit of trouble here. Totally has to use that Aegis. Gets that way, that Sunder, but a good cutoff here by Sops. Going to put Metyankey into a ton of danger. Sops needs one more auto attack to find it, but Metyankey jukes him long enough. Petrify at Oceans, stuns out 3. Shadowq does revive Dante, but yanked back in by Weekend. Double for him. 14 in total for Allegiance, and Flashpoint's just getting whiplash all over the map.
Mirage just now reviving. Overall a 4-for-1 as Weekend was barely able to escape in the beginning of that encounter. Metyankey sacrificing himself for the greater good. Now Allegiance stripping away another speed buff, getting themselves 500 gold in that tier 1 tower. More than likely going to extend that to this tier 2 as well.
1,500 waiting for them on that side. Now NeiruMah gonna stun on Mirage. Weekend put some damage into him. Mirage already used the purification beads. Now he's rooted. Nice stun, hitting Weekend second, but the jet stream was still on Mirage, and he's gonna fall here. His 4th death of the game. NeiruMah gets his first for his efforts.
You were talking about why does Weekend not play his signature logo Circuit? Well, hey, look at this performance coming out of maybe his new signature Susano. 7, 2, and 8. 100% kill participation here. Looking so strong on the Susano. That wasn't even taken away here by Flashpoint.
Top of the player damage charts as well, which is saying something considering how much bullying CycloneSpin has been doing this game on the Ravana. This right side of the map has just been the difference for me, Toli. I mean, you look at Allegiance, they're what? A combined 11, 3, and 16. You look at Flashpoint's right side of the map, 3, 8, and 3. End of story. I mean, that's really all it comes down to.
Not much you can really do if you're Flashpoint. Still struggling here, about 6,000 gold behind. The story has been the old school pairing between CycloneSpin and Weekend. DanteLeFargo forced to go into his ultimate yet again. This story has just been on repeat, non-stop.
Another kill onto Dante. So Weekend notches his 8th in this game. Oceans has been fairly quiet, but as I mentioned, it's just because the right side of the map has been doing so much work for Allegiance that Oceans has had a cushy ride in that backpack on that left through no fault of his own. Shadowq knocked up by Weekend. NeiruMah blocks off the escape with the 2 beautifully. And look at the body blocks coming out of Weekend and NeiruMah. Shadowq, no, gets popped a little bit early, and now this could go in favor of Flashpoint at least a little bit better. Metyankey does find the kill onto Shadowq as Sops is being controlled by Oceans on the left-hand side. He's forced to jump away. So despite the slight misplay there from Metyankey, doesn't end up coming back to haunt. Allegiance, they find another kill and yet another tower.
Gonna try to get this tier 2 tower. The rest of the members from Flashpoint trying to stop it from happening. DanteLeFargo is here. He's healthy, and he will stop the siege. Finally coming out of Allegiance with CycloneSpin now making his rotation towards the Fire Giant side of the map.
Look at CycloneSpin's build. There is nothing about that that says, I'm a solo laner. He just wants to do damage, basically, with that build as Weekend. Puts a little bit more cheeky damage onto the members of Flashpoint as Ocean's chasing down Sops. We knew ye well. Oh, Aegis actually is there in time. Didn't think he had it available, so that Flashpoint Hunter is still alive.
But he's going to be vulnerable for the next team fight. About 150 seconds remaining on that cooldown. Weekend going to get chased down by DanteLeFargo, the mystical male, doing a little bit here, trying to survive. Weekend sacrificing himself, finding DanteLeFargo, but definitely not worth it.
DanteLeFargo should have just gotten 4,000 gold for that kill, for how much Weekend has done to him this game. Probably not. I don't know exactly how the kill bounty multiplier works, but I doubt it ended up being 4K. His Gold Fury goes again to Allegiance. Good attempt there by Shadowq to steal it with a little Rising Dawn, but not enough. As that gold and experience lead continues to just get bigger.
Allegiance looking for ways to close out the game here by stripping away even more speed buffs, as if Mirage didn't have a difficult time already. CycloneSpin sitting at level 18, a level higher than the minutes on the clock thus far, doing a great job farming and being an absolute nightmare every side of the map. That earlier teleport in the duel lane just to shut down Sops shows the different mentalities that CycloneSpin can bring to his team, whether or not he's winning his own matchup individually by last picking Ravana, to even teleporting to the duel lane pre-10 minutes into the game.
And that's the only death that Sops has suffered so far this game, Tully. He's sitting at 2-1-1, has been trying to hold his own up against Oceans and done a pretty decent job of it. In fact, has a slight XP lead over Oceans at this stage in the game. So some bright points so far from Flashpoint. I think that, as I mentioned, after game number 1, there are just some things, there are just some growing pains you have to go through. You got to take some lumps in order to learn how to play at this SPL level, and that's exactly where Flashpoint is taken right now. Shadowq in trouble. Mirage trying to get in there and steal away this portal demon, and does so successfully through the circle of protection from Metyankey, and now he's on the run using that movement speed. Met finally finds him, and now Flashpoint has gotten baited into a bad fight. Oceans cleans up Sheyka in the mid lane, now trying to find Dante. As Shadowq's in the middle of 3. Sops pulled back and controlled by Weekend. That's number 9 for him. Shadowq is going to be Ocean's third victim, and Allegiance lose the objective, but I don't think they care very much.
Shadowq was just too slow to pull the trigger, trying to save the life out of Mirage. Weekend is not going to allow DanteLeFargo any breathing room whatsoever, chunking the soul laner to less than half health. The jungler versus soul lane matchup shouldn't be going the way, but with a 2-level lead, it's very easy for Weekend to start winning this one.
Wind Siphon's up on time, and Weekend is going to let Dante know that he can't take that fight. 10 now for Weekend in total, 12 assists for him as well. Though, man, Weekend's really got to step it up. He missed an assist or kill on one of Allegiance's 23. What's he doing, man?
I think that's the one time during his 3rd death, actually. He found that earlier 3rd death, and then Allegiance is like, you know what? We're tired of you being a part of every kill. We're going to get one without you, Weekend.
Weekend can't say that he was part of everything quite yet, but has certainly done everything needed of him for Allegiance so far in this one. He and CycloneSpin have really been the two that have done it all for Allegiance. But Oceans and NeiruMah, I mean, that dual lane certainly looking strong. 4-0 and 12 for them. Metyankey has been there in the mid as well, going for a pretty defensive build this time around, despite the early lead that he got over top of Sheyka. Went for the 3rd item, Magi's Blessing, just trying to make sure that he didn't get controlled too much by Flashpoint's roster.
Allegiance is one of these teams that, from what I'm seeing in this set, where every single individual player is just making plays. You know, the first game, NeiruMah playing this Amaterasu, to now playing a different style on the Terra.
Ocean's in trouble. Stuns out Sops, though, with that Petrify. Has to use the Aegis, so can't follow up off his own damage. Oceans looks likely to fall here, using that Medusa mobility. Almost finds Sheyka, but not quite in time. Allegiance hasn't really done anything with all of Flashpoint in whole on this left-hand side. Finally now gonna take that tier 2. Had to wait for the minion wave to come in as NeiruMah just zones away multiple members. Did NeiruMah steal that red? NeiruMah stole that red buff. There were 4 members of Flashpoint there.
Oh, NeiruMah. Well, anyway, remember that one time I told you when you have Fire Giant, you should probably stick together so you don't get picked off like that to delay your Fire Giant?
Someone should tell Dante that he needs to be near his team because he's toast. Again, number 8 for the solo laner. Shadowq couldn't get there in time to save his new solo's life. Sops is trying to get a little bit of farm. Shadowq trying to get a little bit of help underneath that tier 2. Waxing Moon only hits 1 from Mirage, and it's NeiruMah, not the one you want to be tagging with that ultimate. CycloneSpin can sit here and auto-attack Sops in the middle of 3 people for the next week and not really worry about falling as the tier 2 tower crumbles to the pressure of Allegiance.
He's not taking any damage at all.
And he doesn't even have that much protection, Toli. I mean, he's got Gladiator Shield, Shifter Shield, Runeforged Hammer, and Frostbound Hammer. That's a lot of HP, but
he has a decent amount of physical protections, but he has literally next to no magical protections at all. But it doesn't matter because Mirage is level 14 on the Chang'e, going for a very utility-style build between this Rod of Asclepius, the Shield of Regrowth for even more mobility. Has a lot of cooldown reduction, but what does that really matter when you don't do too much damage?
Not a whole lot at this stage. Sops has to jump away from Weaken going in. Metyankey gonna lose his Magi's Blessing after the abduct from Shadowq as Sops gets controlled by NeiruMah underneath that Phoenix. Shadowq on the run. Knockup not there for Weaken, but a good circle of protection gets him out of danger. DanteLeFargo trying to be that frontliner for Flashpoint, but has just been set so far behind that no one's really worried about the solo laner. Now Dante, without his ultimate, has to knock up a few to get back towards the safety of his team. The right side Phoenix still has not fallen, but a good double stun. It allows CycloneSpin to get into danger. Weaken is going to find the first, Cyclone the second, and Allegiance continues their dominance over Flashpoint.
Finding the middle Phoenix earlier on, now securing their second one of the game. Allegiance, they found the first game. They're looking to close out the second game. Fireshine's still around their waist for 20 more seconds. There's 5-on-3 power play here for Allegiance, and they're not wanting to end the game quite yet. Instead, looking to play very carefully here, wanting to secure themselves that second Fire Giant before they really end things.
Metyankey just didn't have the circle of protection. I think that was the big reason why we didn't see Allegiance just try and end the game right then and there. Also, the tier 2 tower is left standing, so that makes the Titan a little bit harder to kill.
More protections, more health, more damage coming out of the Titan for every single Phoenix and tower that stands in the game. So Allegiance could use this opportunity to strip away all the possible protections and damage out of that Titan before going for that last kill.
Another Gold Fury going to be picked up here by Allegiance. This would mark number 4. I'd be willing to bet a couple gems that Allegiance has the most Gold Furies taken so far in the summer split. I mean, it's just been consistent. Their game 2 up against Luminosity, they took 3, 4. Game 1 against Flashpoint, 4 or 5, and now 4 again in this one. Really been focused on the objectives. It's a big reason why they've been able to do so well here.
I'm going to raise your gems.
Yeah.
To fantasy point boosters.
Ooh, some FP boosters, huh? Metyankey and Weaken just jump around as they watch CycloneSpin take down the Portal Demon all by himself. Cheering him on. You go, buddy. Look at Cyclone's build. That's just
the Crusher.
Pure offense. Crusher now as he gets in the way of Shadowq's abduct. This revive not really going to matter. Good Waxing Moon, though, from Mirage, but that just pulls the attention of NeiruMah to the jungler for Flashpoint. Body blocks him in place, guaranteeing that stun. Mirage going to fall to CycloneSpin as Weaken tries to handle Dante on the backside of this team fight. Sop steps up, tries to handle Weaken, but it's just going to get knocked up by that Typhoon and controlled. 11, make that 12 for the jungler. A clean dozen for Weaken. CycloneSpin finds the deicide. Allegiance in 24.5 minutes find 31 kills up against Flashpoint and a clean 2-0 victory.
A clean, like you mentioned, victory compared to their first game when we saw Oceans diving the left as well as Weaken diving the right, even pulling another member just for good measure. Shadowq going back to the grave.
Does that count as cyberbullying?
Yes. Somebody should call the cyber police.
That was mean, man.
Somebody needs to...
Plus, they messed up my call. I said they had 31 kills, not 32.
But they wanted to make it a clean 25 minutes into the game.
That's true. Right at 25 minutes. But I said 24. Whatever, Weaken. The rest of you guys on Allegiance, you guys are fine, but Weaken, I'm a little bit frustrated with you. He had a great game, though, on that Susano. Was all over the place, set it up consistently. And if you're up against Allegiance, in my mind, I'm looking at 2 things. Number 1, watch out for Gold Furies, especially when Metyankey's playing Isis. But number 2, You cannot allow CycloneSpin and Weekend to just focus out your right side of the map that well.
Just playing such early game aggressive gods. This Susano, this Ravana have been working out. It doesn't matter if CycloneSpin is playing Ravana, Bologna, Osiris, even going for a purely offensive build. Now, there was a little bit of hybrid defense there, but his mentality to even go crush, he's like, I'm so far ahead here, I want even more cooldowns to get off my overhead kick further.
Doesn't matter what Cyclone was building at that point. It was all allegiance. They find the 2-0 or Flashpoint. We're going to do a quick break, then we'll have our final set of the North American SPL.